What's up, man? Hector here, strongashheck.com. So I'm going to be doing a little experimental program. It's been a little while since I've done a vlog episode. I was doing those probably about 6 months ago. I think I released a couple of those videos, but I wasn't really consistent with those, and for that I apologize. But 2020 has been quite the year, huh? So anywho, had to reprioritize a few things, and so that's why you haven't seen me much here on the channel. So I'm going to be doing a lot better and working on being more consistent, especially with these little vlogs. I really enjoy putting these out. So anywho, going to be doing a little experimental, let me head back the other way, going to be doing a little experimental program, something I've been putting together and something I've been focusing on the last, really like the last probably 2, maybe 3 months of my training now, 2 months at least, going on 3 months of my training, and that is almost not following a structured program. Now, I'm all for following structured programs because you know, a structured program has a specific outcome, right? You know that you're going to arrive at a particular result based on what your goals were. You pair that with the right program, and that's going to help you to find that, to get to that exact result, right? And so the thing is, one of the most challenging pieces to following a structured program is they can be tough to stay on sometimes. You know, obviously if you're 100% disciplined, you can stick to one, but one of the challenges is sometimes they can be hard to stick to, especially if it's the holidays, maybe you travel a lot. Equipment availability, those kind of things can keep you from staying consistent to a structured program. Workouts, on the other hand, what's the difference between a workout and a program? So the workouts are just kind of what they are. They're just designed to work you out, to give you that sense of accomplishment that you did something, that you completed something, and really to burn calories. Again, it mostly give you that sense of you worked out, okay? You literally worked yourself out. There's nothing wrong with workouts. They come in very handy. They're really just kind of plug and play. You don't think about much. You just, you grab your bells, your body weight, whatever it is that you like to use, you just grab those and you let it rip, okay? And so I've been following more of a workout routine, mostly because I think I actually just got burnt out. I've been on a structured program for like the last 7 years. I've followed some kind of structured program and I've stuck to it to a T, never really wavered from a particular program, especially since I was on a deadlift mission. I've kind of put that off to the side. Had a little bit of a setback with a surgery, abdominal surgery that had nothing to do with training. Had a small surgery and started working my way back to the deadlift. My ultimate goal was to get to 700 on the deadlift. Got to 640 right before I had the surgery, and I've really just kind of haven't gotten back in the groove of retraining my deadlift. So from there, I've gotten on different kettlebell programs, which is my primary training tool of choice, is kettlebells, body weight, and then prior to that was training the deadlift. So anyway, been on a structured program for 7 years for the most part. And I was like, you know what, I just don't, and I got to, I was training for the Sinister, right? That's something that I, think I would like to attain because it's just a goal. I haven't really had a goal in training since the deadlift. So I was like, you know what, Sinister is something that I would be happy to tackle on because it gives me that structure and it gives me that goal to attain. But man, I got to a point, I was maybe like 6 weeks into the program, and I was just like, you know what, I don't feel like doing what is prescribed for today. It was a Wednesday, I'll never forget the day. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm just not doing that. Just not doing that. And so I've been focusing on going where my body wants to go for the day. And that's something that I'm experimenting with right now. And I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek of what that looks like. Today, I feel like doing clean and press with some walks and even carries. So I've been doing a lot of single kettlebell work the last 2 months, mostly workout focused, There's really not a whole lot of, there's a little bit of structure, but there's not like, okay, here's a prescribed rest periods, here's a prescribed, intensity and the prescribed volume. Like, there's none of that in there. There are a few guidelines that I'm following, but aside from that, I'm really just going where my body wants to go. And ultimately, I'm trying to cover all 8 functional tasks that we are required basically to execute every single day, okay? And I'll list those 8 required tasks in the comments, in the description below. So I try to make sure that my workout for that day encompasses the majority, if not all, 8 functional tasks. Today and I try to do that from a very minimalist perspective, very minimalist approach. And so today I'm gonna be doing clean and press. Followed by that, I'm gonna do either a walk or a carry. So I've been doing a ton of walking the last, going on now 2 years. I really enjoy it. There's a huge health benefits, fat loss benefits that come along with it, but I like it a lot for like mental clarity, self-development. I do my best thinking. I'm my most creative when I'm moving. So when I'm training is when I get ideas, when I get ideas for content and blog posts and videos. I get ideas when I'm training. I get ideas when I'm walking. I like to listen to audio books or podcasts, usually audio books as I'm going for my walks. So that's been a lot of what I've been focusing on the last few months, is just going where my body wants to go, picking a few exercises, using only one kettlebell. Again, just minimalist approach. I still believe that double kettlebells is where it's at. It's where you get, twice the strength, twice the endurance, twice all the fun. But it's not really minimalist because you need 2 bells. So there's a saying, got a helicopter rolling through here. There's a saying, I'm not sure who said this, but it's in case civilization is temporary, right? In case civilization is temporary. What does that mean? If civilization were to cease, only take with you what you can carry, right? Which is why carrying is one of the most important functional tasks that we have as a human person. So, in case civilization is temporary, well, I wouldn't want to be carrying 2 kettlebells. I'd probably want to be able to just, obviously my body weight. You can't carry dumbbells and barbells. You can't carry dumbbells. But you can't carry barbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals. You can't carry that stuff with you, right? You can take your body weight, obviously, and probably 1 kettlebell. So the kettlebell I'll be using for today, and for the last 2 months, the only bells I've been using is a 24, a 32, and a 40. And the primary focus of my training, my workouts, are with the 32. I'll throw in the 24 from time to time, and I'll throw in the 40 just to work a little bit more max strength when I'm working on some presses or what have you. So in case civilization is temporary, that's the primary focus. That is pure minimalism, okay? 1 kettlebell. Unfortunately, 2 kettlebells is not minimalism because it's not minimal, it's 2. So yeah, something I've been playing around with, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of sneak peek into that. So I'm gonna grab my trusty 32 kilo. I'm going to chalk up. And then after that, I'm gonna take you on a little small journey so you can see what it is I'm gonna be doing. And I'm gonna do this for an hour. Obviously, I'm not going to show you the entire hour. I'm gonna show you just clips of what I'm doing. And then from there, you can try it out and see if it works for you. But the reason why I'm doing this for an hour, for one, if you can't schedule an hour in your day to take care of your body, you've gotta relook your priorities. An hour is, it's my meditation. This is my time. This is physical meditation, mental, emotional, and actual physical meditation. This is 1 hour of my day that I have 100% control of. If you can't control what's controllable, like your effort and your attitude, getting out and getting in a good workout or a training session, being prudent with what you're putting into your mouth. If you can't control those things, good luck controlling the uncontrollable, right? Pandemics, the weather, your boss, things around you, you can't control those things. So if those things get absolutely insane, how are you going to respond? If you can't even control what's controllable, right? Exercise, eating right, taking care of your body. If you can't control that, good luck controlling what's uncontrollable, right? Because you can't control those. So the reason why I'm doing this for an hour is because as a man, our purpose, if you're a man watching this, your purpose is your work. Okay, your purpose is your work, and it's that work that ensures the survival of your family. It's that work that ensures the survival of your tribe, i.e. your family. That is your duty, okay? And in order to be able to work physically, again, in case civilization is temporary and you have to get out and do physical things, farm the land, carry stuff, move stuff, lift stuff, you need to be able to do that, not just in a 15-minute session. Okay, 15-minute sessions are great because they're very time-saving and they're duplicatable. But can you hit hard over and over for an hour? Can you maintain that work capacity for an hour? We're about to find out, right? So that's why lately my training sessions have been very long. And I'm a busy guy. I'm a married guy with 2 kids, running a couple of businesses, and I'm a busy guy, but you know what? I can make 60 minutes happen. I can schedule that. And if I can't, I need to take another look at my priorities, right? So the primary reason I like these practices, I actually call them moving meditations. The reason why I make these moving meditations an hour is because I need to make sure that I can move at a high capacity for an hour. And I'm just listening to my body. So as a man, your duty, your purpose in this world, right, is your work. Because it's that work that ensures the survival of your family, the survival of your tribe. So, anywho, I'm babbling now. Let's get into it. I'm going to grab my bell and we're gonna get to work. All right, so I've already got my bell set, and as you can see, I did. I'm gonna be cycling between just regular walking, and I'm gonna be cycling between carries. And this is why I like single bell carries over double bell carries. Again, remember, double kettlebells, you're definitely going to get twice the amount of strength than you will like a single bell. But what I like about single bell is it works at cross body stabilization. Okay, so just that little walk from just halfway, not even halfway, a quarter of the way, it was 70 paces exactly. 70 paces. My QL, so quadratus lumborum, muscle that basically helps flex your spine and everything from left to right, that muscle there was lit up. You're gonna really work your core, obliques, everything, all stabilizers, obviously the grip. You're working everything just one bell because now you're asymmetrically loaded. The bell's trying to pull your body to one side. So if I'm carried on my right, my core all the way on my left side is working really hard to maintain that integrity. And as Gray Cook said, stability is defined as strength with integrity under load. Okay, I think it was in 2012 when I heard him say that at a lecture. It was at a FMS workshop that I attended that he was teaching, and he said stability is defined as strength with integrity under load, and that just always stuck with me. So single bell carries requires strength with integrity under load, which equals stability. All right, so I'm gonna knock out some clean and presses. You'll get to see what that looks like, and then you'll get to see what I'm gonna do as a recovery mechanism to get me ready for my next set of presses. All right, let's get started. All right, so first set, got my heart rate up to 140 beats just off of one set of clean and presses. So obviously there's a little bit of a conditioning and endurance factor that's going to be added into this practice. And then my recovery was 70 paces, you know, up the block, 70 paces back. And I got back down to about 114 beats just within that walk. So huge recovery, okay, just in those 140 paces. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be incorporating carries. So I might use a farmer's carry or a rack carry, an overhead carry. I'm going to be playing around with different carries, okay? Each set, I'm going to make a small tweak or have an intention on each set. And I want to see if you can find that, okay? Which is one of the key pieces of these moving meditations that I've been working on is mastery of skill. That's one of my core principles. Is mastery, right? Seeking to improve upon yourself, be better than you were yesterday kind of thing, but just always seeking to improve, all right? And so so I'm not trying to beat myself up each and every set. I'm not trying to see how many clean and press sets I can get done in an hour. That's not the focus here. The focus is how can I make my technique more efficient? The more efficient I am, the stronger I can get, right? The more efficient that I am, you know, the less energy that I'm going to need to use to accomplish the task. And that's the goal, right? Because we want to be able to do a lot of work over a long period of time, which is why these sessions for me are an hour in these movement meditations. And I encourage you to try to do it for an hour, but each set, I'm going to do something a little different. And then I want you to try to find it. I'm not going to give you the answer. In the comments below, I want you to let me know what you thought of set number 2. What was different? And then from there, I'll give you a reply. See if you can find what I did different, okay? And then each set, I'm gonna add a new recovery piece, which will be some kind of carry or just body weighted walking, okay? So that's all I got, all right? So I'm gonna line up for my next set and let me know what you see. Okay, well that was a doozy. So let me know in the comments if you can notice what I did different, because I did do something different on that set. And then what I did was I followed up, and just because that left side that I did my 5 presses on, because of that intention, jacked my heart rate up to 159 beats per minute. That's what it did. One side. Once I did the other side, it kept it hovering around that same thing. One side, one set of 5, got my heart rate up. So major conditioning factor. And here's the thing, I'm not trying to make this an endurance session, but this is what happens when you're intentional about what you're doing, okay? And then my recovery was overhead carries, down and back. So it's like, why the overhead carries? You just finished pressing. Well, again, something that Gray Cook stated one time. I don't know if it was at the same. I've worked with Gray. When I say I worked with Gray, I've gone to several of his events where I've learned directly from him in the FMS system and how to pair kettlebells with the FMS system. One of the things he said when it came to pressing overhead was, if you cannot, the bell that you're pressing, if you cannot take that bell, I'm trying to see if I can remember, I don't know if he said half a football field or a full football field. A full football field would be pretty terrible. If you can't walk, let's just say half a football field, right? 50 yards. If you can't walk 50 yards with that bell overhead, you should not be pressing that kettlebell. Again, that stuck with me. So that's why I like to incorporate in these meditations overhead carries. Have I earned the right to press this bell? Because stability is strength with integrity under load. So can I maintain that locked elbow, shoulder connected into the socket? Can I maintain that alignment? Can I maintain that integrity for 50 yards? I don't know, I went 70 paces. Maybe that's just under, I have to do the math, but maybe that's just under 50 yards. But I also did it in an incline. I'm up here in the hill country. So it was also in an incline, right? So another little added factor. So I considered going down and back on one side, but shoulder started burning, and I'm not trying to train to failure. So I just parked it. You saw I snatched it overhead, and then I carried it back overhead. So my next recovery mechanism is going to be carry again, but this time it's going to be a racked carry. So another reason why I started overhead was because I'm going to start overhead and I'm going to finish carrying down by the side, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that here in a little bit as well. So next set, let me know if you can see what I'm doing differently. All right, now that was a challenge. Can you spot what I did different on that set? Let me know, drop something in the comments. Interesting feedback. Again, this is always about feedback, right? Mastery, trying to improve yourself, being aware of what's going on, and of course applying your intentions. So, interesting thing happened on the way back with that rack carry. That rack carry on the way back, I had to, since I had the bell compared to the overhead carry that I had, the overhead carry, I was able to stay more upright on my way back down because the load was pulling back. The load was pulling me backwards because the kettlebell is a live weight. Okay, the kettlebell is a live weight, meaning every time that the bell, that center of mass, which is the bell, every time that center of mass moves, it requires more stability. It creates a different response from the body. Okay, it requires a different response, right? And usually it's some kind of stability focused. That's why they're so beneficial, which is why, in my opinion, better than dumbbells and even barbells for your primary training tool. Doesn't mean that the other tools are not important. Obviously, I wouldn't be chasing a barbell deadlift if it wasn't an important goal for me. So the overhead carry pulled me back. So the weight was going back that way. So on the way down the hill, I felt stable. But in the front carry, the front rack carry, because this is an incline, so we're up here in the hills. So this is an incline. So on the way down, it's a decline. So I actually had to lean back a little bit to counter the balance because the bell's trying to pull me out forward. So it's an interesting piece of feedback that I got on the way back. So I'm gonna show you one more set, and let me know if you can spot my different intention on that set, and then I'll show you my last carry, and then I'll break down why I did the carries that way. All right, let's get started. Whew! All right, so that last set of carries was interesting to say the least, and I'll give you some feedback on that here in a minute. But first thing what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish out the remainder of the session. I got about another 20-ish so minutes to go. I'm gonna finish out the rest of this session, and then I'll sit down and I'll give you a recap of why I did those carries in that exact order, and any other last minute thoughts. All right, so I'm gonna finish this up really quick, and I'll be right back. All right, man, so all done. That was awesome for one. So I want to break down a little bit of what I did. So you saw there, I went through clean and press was the exercise I felt like doing today. And my recovery was walks or carries. And I just passed the 1 hour mark, and I only did 6 sets of presses. It took an hour. So I did clean and press left, and I always started with my left because that's my non-dominant side. Okay, if you rewind and watch, you'll also notice how funky my press is on my left compared to my right. 20 years of jiu-jitsu, guys yanking on your arms and elbows. For whatever reason, this left side just feels weird. I don't even know how to explain it. Weird is the best thing I can do to explain it. The rack feels funky. It's hard for me to maintain a vertical forearm because I just don't have a full range of motion on my elbow from a flexion perspective. Like I can't even touch my shoulder, and everybody, you should be able to touch your shoulder. I can't do it on either side, but this one is a lot closer, you see here, than this. Like that's it, so anywho, so my left side, I have a lot of tightness there in the elbow. I can fully extend it, I just can't fully flex it. And I definitely think I'm leaking some power there. So the rack and the press itself doesn't feel as comfortable, and it's not as smooth, and it's not as powerful. So it's a little grindier than my right side. My right side is very explosive, even with the 32. So I only did 6 sets. Okay, so I did clean and press left, non-dominant side, then rested maybe a few seconds to shake it out. Then I did the right side, and then I did a carry down and back. And I started with overhead carry, and then I came in, I did my next set, rack carry, came back, did my next set, farmer's carry, came back, did my next set. And I did that 2 times. So I only did 6 sets of presses total in combination with my carries, and that was a whole entire hour practice. So if you spotted where I was intentional, I did something a little different on those 3 sets that you got to see. Let me know in the comment section what it is that you can see that looks different. And even after that, the next 3 sets, I did 3 different things also, but I wasn't gonna bore you with all that extra footage. And now I did the carries from the rack, from the overhead to down to farmer's carries. And I want to give you a little insight of what I felt with those and what you may feel with those as you go through that. So that's kind of the progression from a work capacity standpoint. So I think it was back in 2012. It was the first FMS, or maybe it was the second FMS that I went to with Great Cook. It was a strong first collaboration with FMS called, I think it's called Foundational Strong, or I can't even remember, but it's basically an FMS kettlebell workshop certification. Not even certification, I think it was just a workshop really. And one of the things he had us do was for, I think it was almost an entire hour, he had us do carries for an entire hour non-stop. Talk about some serious work capacity, okay? And our progression was starting overhead, right? And this is where he started talking about, if you can't carry a bell 50 paces or, half a, 50 yards, if you can't carry it overhead, you have no business pressing that bell. you know, because he said he worked with a lot of NFL athletes that could bench press 400 or 500 pounds, but yet they couldn't do an overhead carry halfway down the football field with a 24 kilo bell. That's a problem, right? So that's why I always like to incorporate overhead carries. So the progression is overhead carry. This is what we're doing through our 1 hour, you know, practice, if you will, with the overhead carry is overhead carry, and you carry that bell as long as you can. And we're walking just in a big circle. There's probably about 80 of us. We're just walking in a circle, okay? Just walking in a circle. And the moment you started to fatigue, the goal was not to train to failure, right? To hold it until failure. The moment you reached like an 8 out of 10 difficulty, you had to bring it to the rack. And then you continued carrying. Same thing, you'd continue to carry. And once you got to an 8 out of 10 difficulty there, you dropped it down to the farmer's carry. Once you reached an 8 out of 10 difficulty there, you parked it for a brief second, snatched it, pressed it, however you needed to get it overhead, and you continue the same process on your left. And we did that for an entire hour nonstop. It was exhausting, it was tiring, but here's the crazy thing, I was not sore the next day. And carries shouldn't make you sore because you're really hitting the stabilizers really hard. And so that's how I like to plan my loaded carries when I'm carrying in these movement meditations. Is I like to start from overhead down to the rack, down to farmer's carry. And I just do it here you saw me, I did it 70 paces. Usually it's anywhere between 50 to 70 paces. So I do it right, come back left, or left and right, whichever I decide to go with. But I'm not holding it, you know, until I need to switch to the rack like we did at that course, just because I'm just getting down and back because I'm going to do my next set of presses. So there was a few things that I experienced that were pretty interesting in each carry. So keep in mind I'm doing this at an incline, right? So as I'm walking down up to the house, it's a pretty good incline. Okay, so keep that in mind in case you're doing this at home where it's maybe a flat surface. So overhead, I didn't feel much lumbar, QL, quadratus lumborum. I didn't feel much there in the spine. I felt a little bit of shoulder burn started kicking in the last 16 paces. So out of the 70 paces that I had, the last 16 paces, I started to feel some shoulder burn was starting to set in a little bit. I felt a lot of triceps starting to kick into about that same time. But where I felt it the most was I felt it in my whole entire shoulder girdle. So while I'm overhead and I'm keeping my shoulder connected, I could feel everything, all that whole scapular area was working hard. That's where I felt the most of the work getting done. But I didn't feel a whole lot like in my back QL area. I didn't feel a whole lot of shoulder until I got to those last 16 paces. And the tricep, same thing, the last 16 paces. Then when I got to the rack carry, as I mentioned during the practice, as I got to the rack carry, I noticed going downhill, going back to the starting point, I had to lean back because the kettlebell is a live weight and the center of mass was going forward. So as I'm going downhill, if I would have stayed upright, the bell would have probably fell off the rack position. So I had to lean back a little bit. And that's what I noticed going on the way down. On the way up, for both going up and on the way down. So on the way down, had to lean back, but on both coming up and down, I felt my pecs working a lot, and I really felt my biceps and my triceps working. Didn't get a whole lot of shoulder burn until I got, again, to about that 16 pace mark as I was coming to the end. Started feeling pecs here, pecs up into the front part of the delt. So overhead carry, a lot of upper back, a lot of scapular, that whole shoulder girdle area. Didn't feel much shoulder burn or tricep burn to the last 16 paces. Front rack carry, I felt a little bit of lumbar on the non-working side. Felt a little bit of lumbar QL. Felt a little bit of that. Not a lot of shoulder burn until the last 16 paces, but really felt it in my pecs and in my biceps, and then a little bit of tricep. And then the last was the farmer's carry. That was the toughest one from a couple of angles. It was the toughest one. My stability was all over the place. I don't know if you saw me walking. I looked like Bambi. like I was having a hard time finding, I guess, my stride, like, because the bell was kind of swaying from side to side as I'm walking. So I'm trying to like walk one foot in front of the other. Like I was trying to keep my feet on like railroad tracks. That wasn't working. So I started walking one in front of the other, and that wasn't working. So I definitely felt like my stability was off because the bell's down and it's kind of swaying, versus up here, the bell's kind of out of the way. Up overhead, the bell's out of the way. That was one. I felt a lot of shoulder, tricep on the working side, a lot of shoulder and tricep really kicking in hard. And then on the non-working side, a lot of QL, a lot of that lower, that lumbo-pelvic area. I felt a lot of that on the non-working side. Really, I mean, it was significant compared to the racked carry and the overhead carry. So a lot of QL, a lot of shoulder, a lot of tricep as well, and of course grip. But that was a pretty interesting, some interesting feedback that I got. And you only get that when you're being intentional about what you're doing, and when you're practicing versus just trying to run through something because you only got 10 to 15 minutes. That's not what this session was about. This session is about going where my body wants to go, trying to create some, high level work capacity by going for an hour nonstop. Like, I only I rested as much as I needed, but I just kept going, and I just kept going, and it took me exactly 6 sets of presses and 6 sets of carries total. Interestingly enough, of the 3 carries, the overhead carry was the strongest. It's where I felt the strongest. Like I could have gone a greater distance. I felt like I could have maybe covered an entire football field. Because I got to 70 paces, and as I mentioned, right before, after I did my first set of presses, as I came down and I hit 70 paces, I was like, man, I think I might be able to turn her back and go back the other way. But I started feeling a little bit of burn those last 16 paces, and I was like, nah, let's just park it, switch sides, and then finish off on the other side, right? But it felt really strong compared to, and that's even in the later session when I did the second round of overhead carries. That still felt really strong, both left and right sides, going up and downhill. Those felt really strong compared to the rack carries and the farmer's carries. Like literally, my face never changed. I didn't like grimace. I wasn't like trying to stay calm, which you know what I'm talking about if you've done carries. But with the rack carry and with the farmer's carry, man, my face changed a couple of times, like like just trying to keep it all together, and that never really happened with the overhead carry. So that's it for today's episode. So what I want you to do is, for one, if you're liking the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, that way you can be notified when I launch my next vlog and any other videos that we're putting up here on the channel. Share this with somebody if you know they can use this information and you found this valuable. Just share this with someone that you know. And the last thing is, drop a comment below. Let me know, taking a look at those 3 sets that I showed you of clean and presses, let me know if you can spot the different intention that I applied to each set. Okay, and then I'll shoot you some feedback based on what you say. All right, so that's all I got. Hector@strongastheck.com with this week's vlog of the week, I guess. I don't know. I usually do something technique of the week, workout of the week. I don't even know what this is. Anyway, let me know how that goes, and drop me a comment below. Good luck.